Arizona Cardinals. Red Sea, rise up. Los Angeles Rams. Let's go, Ramley. Seattle Seahawks. Let's go, 12, get loud. San Francisco 49ers. Home of the faithful. Quest for the West.
We are here. It's Quest for the West time, and I am joined by both Sam from the Always Compete Seahawks podcast and Evan down there from the He's on Fire podcast. We got ourselves a nice trio today to discuss the NFC West, what's going on, where everyone sits, and not just the new head of the table, but the new hottest boys in the NFL right now, the Arizona Cardinals, after they just absolutely take it to the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not going to lie, Evan, if it had been any other team, like a non-NFC West team, I would have loved what I was watching, but all I kept thinking to myself was, oh God, we have to play them next week.
But you might get them at the perfect time. We might be on a little bit of a high. We're coming home. We've played 3 or 4 on the road. We might be on a little bit of high. You never know. I'm being a little pessimistic as always, but it's a good time to play them.
You were a little pessimistic last week. You thought the Rams were going to take it to you guys, but that's not at all what happened.
No, not at all. I mean, listen, we've lost 8 in a row. We've never beaten Sean McVay. So why were we going to beat them this time, right? Well, lo and behold, right when we went up early, I was like, okay, this is a different game. They go up 10-7. We come right back and score again. Byron Murphy gets an interception, and we took it to them. I mean, from the rest of the second quarter to the third and fourth quarter, they had the ball like a whopping total of 9 minutes. What are you going to do with 9 minutes in an NFL game, right? Especially when the other team has 99-yard drives and running it down your throat, taking up 6, 7, 8 minutes. That's something I did not expect to see from a Cliff Kingsbury offense as well. But hey, here we are, and I'm loving life right now. 4-0 feels good. You guys have had good starts in the last 10 years. We've had one other good start. So it's about time we got a little bit of love, man. Let me tell you.
It's nice. It's definitely nice, man. The Cardinals are definitely rolling right now. And Sam, we had ourselves a nice little matchup here. A game that was starting out all 49ers. 49ers. In fact, after that opening drive, I called Ant and was like, dude, your wild that's bold could come true, because he predicted that, well, he's not he predicted, but his bold prediction was that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to throw 4 tutties. 4 tutties in this game. And after that opening drive and that touchdown throw, it was like, all right, this offense is rolling. We got everything dialed in. The defense has gotten 2 great stops, and then we weren't able to do jack diddly squat all with anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bizarre game. The game, we were outgained, like in the first half, like before we scored a touchdown at the end of the half, I believe it was like 250 yards to -8, and it was a 7-0 game. We go down and score, tied the game at halftime. And then from after that, it was pretty much all Seahawks. I don't know where like that spark came from, but I mean, we came out, we tied the game. We took the opportunity. It's not like we were given this by the 49ers. We were like offered this game, and thank God we took it, because if this was a loss, I would be so upset. And I imagine that it's kind of the same for you, because in a way we gave you this. In a way we gave you this win. So I mean,
it stings.
I think we finally saw the offense in the second half play well. Hallelujah! It's the first time we scored our first touchdown in the third quarter last week. So it's a very pleasant news sight to see my old Seahawks be an all second half team again. Very, very proud of that. Not really, but you know. You should be. You guys figured it out. This is the thing you had to do, especially after the way that first half went. I was thinking to myself, this is pretty much a wrap, guys. First 2 or 3 drives, I was like, we got this we're good. We're solid. We're fine. And then I remembered when we got into the red zone area for a field goal, I was like, Mitch Wisniewski is kicking. We don't have Robbie Gould.
Kyle
Yeah.
Juszczyk is holding. Okay, well, we missed one. Hey, you know what? It's fine. We'll get back down there again. And we kept getting back down there. The problem was for the 49ers, it looked like, especially when I watched the first half of that All 22 film, when we got into a situation where we were in closer to the red zone, Kyle couldn't call plays to just, settle for field goals. He was having to call plays to try and move the sticks and get that first down because it was going to be touchdown or bust. And Seattle took advantage of that. And there was also some unfortunate situations and packages there in the first half where drives stalled out, getting close to that midfield range where Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk were both off the field on key third downs. And Seattle basically just said, all right, beat us with Trent Sherfield, beat us with Jawan Jennings, and the 49ers didn't do it. They couldn't do it. And so you guys took advantage of those opportunities in those situations where they ran real weird personnel groupings. And it was weird because it was the drives leading up to that point were flawless. Play calling was great. Executions there. We're moving the ball at a high clip and really efficiently. I can tell you that the Jimmy Garoppolo injury, which he sustained, I think it's like the third play of the first drive, with that calf, didn't help us in the second half. Trey is still fresh. He's still new. He doesn't look 100% comfortable yet. And what a shock, guys! A rookie quarterback who has a lot of mechanic issues and mechanic flaws in his game is learning a very complex system, is struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked to see him. If anything, I thought that Jimmy G getting out, usually it would be a huge, advantage for us. It would be a huge advantage, but it was a huge advantage, but not for the reasons that it was, because Jimmy G was playing a very good game up to that point where, I mean, he had 2 incompletions. One of them was an interception, which you really can't blame him on because it was an incredible read by Quandre Diggs to sneak up on that.
Yeah, Quandre Diggs played that great.
Yeah, he really played an exceptional first half where he took what the Seahawks were giving them. I mean, I had to use the nickname Legion of Room in the first half because we were giving you guys – we're talking about 5-10 yards of just like open space where your receivers just sit in the zone and they take what they give you. And that's what Jimmy G was doing really well. And once Trey Lance came in, he was kind of like I almost want to say like a deer in the headlights a little bit, where it's like middle of the game in the locker room. Somebody walked up to him and was like, "Hey, Trey, you're starting. Get ready." It was obviously something very sudden. And he clearly wasn't ready at that moment. Maybe, if he was gearing up to be the starter all week, it would be different. But to force a quarterback that was drafted and kind of considered a project to have him step up like that was very tough, especially for Trey Lance. But the Seahawks really took advantage of that. They confused him a little bit. I mean, really, besides the Deebo Samuel blown whatever, I don't know what it was, but
I'll tell you what, man. I don't know what Jamal Adams was doing on that play, but
it was not Jamal Adams' fault. It was Sidney Jones' fault. He played.
I don't know. It looked like when I watched the film back, it looks like it's cover 2 man, and for some reason he's not doing it. So I could be wrong. If I'm wrong there, that's fine. But it looked like it might have been man coverage underneath. I think Sidney Jones might have misplayed it. I think that's what Pete Carroll might have said, but I don't know. Oh, did he? Okay, well then
he placed blame on Sidney Jones, and then I think he recanted it. I don't know.
Sounds like Carroll.
I don't know. He's too nice. He's too nice to say these things.
Pete doesn't want to do that out in public. But yeah, Evan, man, I want to talk to you a little bit about this with your guys' team and what Kyler Murray's doing and this offense is doing, and even what your defense is doing. Because I still wasn't convinced that Arizona's defense had I didn't think it was going to be enough. J.J. Watt signing, I don't know if that's enough. I love Zaven Collins. How are you feeling about Zaven Collins in this defense right now? And has Isaiah Simmons elevated his level of play through these first 4 weeks?
Oh, man. Isaiah Simmons has been incredible. He is absolutely all over the field. He's covering all the running backs out of the backfield. He's covering the tight ends. He's covering some of the slot receivers. Isaiah Simmons has absolutely stepped up. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's leading the team in tackles with 23 right now. Still has yet to register a sack, but he does have an interception as well. He is all over the field. Zaven Collins has really only seen the field about 25 to 30% of the time because Jordan Hicks, Jordan Hicks felt that guy coming. He looked in the rearview mirror and he said, nope, you can try to put me on the trade block. You can do whatever, but whatever team I'm playing with, I'm going to ball out. And Jordan Hicks is tied for second in the league with tackles. So now, and it's no detriment to Zaven Collins either. That's not saying he's bad by any means, or that he's just being outplayed by a veteran that's done it for 6, 7, 8 years now, So it's almost an enshrinement of riches for the Cardinals right now. Because if one of those guys needs to go down, or you need to have somebody come in for certain packages, you can do that now. And you have a guy that's ready to go on the other side of the ball. So it's been an absolute plethora of riches on the defensive side for us. I mean, JJ Watt, it really hasn't even done what I thought he was going to do. He really hasn't. Now, he made a couple good plays last week against the Jaguars to force an interception, but let me tell you, the star of that defense is that whole secondary. That whole secondary has gone in and has really shut every single team down that they've played. I didn't expect that going in. There was nothing but questions. Robert Alford hasn't played for 2 years. He was with the Falcons when they made their Super Bowl run, got injured 2 years in a row. We're talking ACL and Achilles. Okay. Like 2 huge things, right? You let go of Patrick Peterson. Everybody thought that was a bad move. Like, no, that was a wonderful move. If y'all have seen Patrick Peterson play the last 2 years, and I'm talking about watched him play, dude is awful. I am so glad he's off the team. And then Byron Murphy, counting on a third-year guy coming in, leads the team with 3 interceptions so far. 1 incredible interception on Matt Stafford last week.
Absolutely.
And then rookie Marco Wilson. So we're counting on all these dudes and a rookie Marco Wilson. No, Marco Wilson is balling right now. He is not playing like a rookie. And all of these guys, including Budda Baker, including Jalen Thompson. Jalen Thompson was laying the wood on every single player last week. They are the most physical secondary that I've seen for the Cardinals in my lifetime. And I'm not just saying in my lifetime, they are the most physical secondary that I've seen. And I've been a fan since the Jake the Snake days in Sun Devil Stadium. I mean, I've been a fan of
the Snake.
Absolutely. So all of these guys are 24 years and younger too. And that's bad news for y'all. That's bad news for everybody else.
Every single person out there. That's bad for us. That's bad for the Rams, bad for the Seahawks, obviously bad for the Rams. One other thing I want to talk to you about was AJ Green, man. AJ Green doesn't look like he's washed at all whatsoever. I know this is one of the big questions for a lot of people when you guys brought him in is, does he even have anything left in the tank? I watched him in Cincinnati, and I thought there was still something there, but obviously just something wasn't clicking over there with the Bengals and that system anymore and how they want to utilize him. Cliff Kingsbury looks like he's found something there with this guy.
All off season, I heard nothing but reports of like, no, he's got stuff left in the tank. No, this is the old AJ Green. Remember AJ Green 3, 4, 5 years ago? This is that AJ Green. And it took a couple games to just kind of get him going. And we had to force a couple things into him. But once we did, it just seemed to kick off. Excuse me. So now what they're doing, DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit injured right now. He's got some rib injuries. So the last 2 games, he hasn't really been full D-Hop, but that's fine. You stick Jalen Ramsey on him and, take those 2 out of the equation. Then that's fine. He's not even healthy. Okay. Let's go to AJ Green for 4 receptions, 67 yards. Let's go to Christian Kirk. Oh, just 1 time here, even though he's been the best slot receiver in the NFL thus far. Okay. Let's go to AJ Green now. Let's go to Rondale Moore. And all of a sudden, Max Williams is catching 4 or 5 balls out of the backfield and at the tight end position, something that he hasn't done and we haven't done recently. So now all of a sudden we have all these guys lining up, and then you throw in a little wishbone offense where you got Rondale Moore on one side of Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds on the other, James Conner behind you, Max Williams on the tight end position, and we can go any which way. The play calling, and my biggest thing with the Cardinals was Cliff Kingsbury. The play calling last week was superb. It was the best I ever seen him coach. Everybody was ready to go. Perfect play calls at the right time. You stick James Conner in to get the short touchdowns. Chase Edmonds looking like a wide receiver randomly. I'm hyped, but I really want to pump the brakes a little bit too, because we've all seen when teams get hype, they go into the next game and just completely implode, and then we start from square one again, right? So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit, but everybody is firing on all cylinders, and it's really exciting to be a Cardinals fan again.
I can imagine, and that's fair. I mean, look, I get where you're coming from with that perspective, right? Is I've seen enough from Cliff Kingsbury over the years and with this team to know that it also could go another way very, very quickly. So before I crown anybody, let's let this thing play out. Let's let them prove it a little bit more before we, jump on that bandwagon. It's a very level-headed approach. I'm not gonna lie, Evan. Most fans, most people aren't capable of doing that. shows a level of commitment to your team. You're happy with what they're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You remember the beginning of last year when the Seahawks were just crushing everybody. They play us and they just kind of, no offense, they played us in that first game. I think it was a Monday night game or maybe Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken, a Sunday night game. And then they just kind of crumbled from there. But leading up to that game, everybody was talking about for the first 4 or 5 weeks, Russell Wilson MVP. And then he wasn't. Like, this is 4 games, man. It's very clear in the NFC, like who the good teams are and who the bad teams are, right? But being anointed as the NFC champion, Super Bowl contender, those type of things, MVP, those tail out over the course of a season. We're going to start having some buys coming up too. Weird things are going to happen in the NFC West. The NFC West, we've only played each other 1 game. We got 5 more to go. Like, a lot of things can happen. Like, you don't think the Rams are going to be pissed off when they come into Arizona next time? You don't think the Niners are going to be pissed off when Seattle goes in? You know what I mean? But all these teams, they got to get right back at it. Like 49ers, y'all got something to prove now. Y'all got to go into Arizona and get a division game. This is huge. You can't go 0-2 in the division. This is a huge game.
Yeah, if we want any chance of being, the head of the table and me being able to come on this podcast and talk about how we're going to win the NFC West, we can't come out of this week 5 matchup with a loss. If we come out of this week 5 matchup with a loss, we're not talking about potentially contending for the NFC West. We're talking about, trying to claw our way into the playoffs and sneak in as a wild card. That's what we're talking about here. The 49ers, luckily for us, after this game, you get that week 6 bye for us, and we're going to get some reinforcements back. We're hoping we can get Dre Greenlaw back in. That will help the linebacking core. You're hoping that you can also, start adding in some of these other pieces and some of these other weapons. Jalen Hurd hopefully can come back from injury as well. Jimmy will be that much closer to being hopefully healthy and able to go to do some stuff. We'll see what happens this week. And Evan, I wanted to ask you this. If Trey Lance is the starting quarterback, are you at all concerned about what the 49ers offense could look like, since no one has really seen a Trey Lance-led offense?
Absolutely. Last year when we got booted out of the playoffs by the Rams, we played against not even Bryce Perkins, who is the backup quarterback for the Rams. Wolford. I can't even remember. Yeah. John Wolford.
There you go.
Arizona Hot Shots legend from the AAF football league. Yeah. We got lit up by John Wolford. We got lit up by Tua last year in his first start. I remember years ago, Cam Newton's first year, we got lit up by a rookie quarterback. The Arizona Cardinals just have a tendency to get lit by backup quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks. Trey Lance is both. And we don't know what he's going to do, right? Now, with that being said, we have, again, the most physical secondary I've ever seen, which bodes well for stopping run plays or quick screen plays, those kind of things. We have an Isaiah Simmons and we have a Zaven Collins that we can throw in there to be able to run the perimeter on the sides of the field. We can stick with any running quarterback except for maybe like a Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. Fortunately, he's on our team. So we have the guys that can do it. And we have a defensive line that hasn't played up to their potential by any means. Nobody on the defensive line can, but you know what they did? They stuck to exactly what their game plan was. They made Matt Stafford feel the pressure. They just made him feel it, and that's fine. And if you want to try to have Trey Lance beat the whole team with his legs, I'm fine with that, as long as we don't let Kittle or Deebo Samuel or whoever absolutely go off, contain the run, contain guys on the outside. I'll let him get 50, 60, 70 yards rushing if that's the way it's going to be. But I think we have the guys to be able to match that speed. But it's exactly what you said. We don't know because it hasn't been on film yet. So there's a lot of opportunity for the 49ers going into this game. The Cardinals need to be very, very wary going into it.
That's fair. And look, Sam, you guys got a big one now. You got your NFC West win. You needed that one. You needed this one. You were looking and staring down the barrel of 1-3. Now you're 2-2. You got a good win against San Francisco that started off red hot. And now you got a wounded Rams team that would like to come out and prove something, right? Like to come out and stick one to you guys and reassert themselves in the NFC West, because the last thing they need to do after that 3-0 start that they had is drop two straight in the division. How can you guys try and slow down this Rams offense? What do you think it's going to take, and can Seattle get it done?
That's a very good question, and I feel like the Cardinals gave us a little bit of a blueprint of what we need to do, which is make Matt Stafford try to anticipate getting pressured. get him a little bit uncomfortable, get him making some inconsistent throws, whether that's straight up just testing a pass that's not there or just throwing it to no man's land, which I did see a couple times in the game where sometimes he just looked a little uncomfortable, a little
Correct.
Uneasy. He didn't look right like the Matt Stafford we've seen for the first 3 weeks in this Sean McVay offense. So I feel like, the main parts are just going to be being able to make Matt Stafford uncomfortable, and it's going to be a little bit easier considering it's going to be a primetime game in front of the 12s. It's going to be amped. So to get that offense uncomfortable, we already have a little bit of a head start. We just need to continue. We've been decent at getting pressure. We haven't been great, but we've been decent on some plays. So I really feel like the key to this game is going to be able to see if we can control what they want to do in the pass, which they will obviously try to do a lot in the past with our secondary and how it's performed so far this season, especially early in games. So it's going to be very important to make Matt Stafford uncomfortable, try to force him to make the throws that aren't there, and just see how it works out from there.
No, that's fair. And it's going to be a tough matchup for you guys, especially with Jalen Ramsey out there in the secondary. He's going to be able to take away one of the options and one of the things that you could
Probably
go to
DK,
there.
I would imagine, right?
I would say I'd feel DK too. Is that what you're thinking too, Sam?
Yeah, DK's a little hotter. He's had the better last couple of weeks. Tyler Lockett's been kind of taken away by most teams because he had a very hot start to the season, which is kind of what happened last year where DK started very hot. Then they decided to take away DK. Then Tyler has it's constantly interchanging with who's having really good games and who's having like 3 catches, 15-yard games. The last couple weeks it's been DK. I would imagine that even if DK was cold, they would probably match Jalen Ramsey up on DK because Jalen Ramsey's very good with trash talk and DK does not handle trash talk well. He gets a little in his own head about it, which is something that a lot of young players do. Yeah, it's something
Jimmy Ward loves doing it. He loves talking smack to that guy.
Sometimes, and whenever they're up and whenever DK's having his own, he loves the smack talk, but whenever he's kind of getting pushed around a little bit, it gets in his head so much, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's just like a young player, it's just a young player thing. And I guess, he's very motivated. He's one of the hardest working players that I've seen on the Seahawks in a long time. He has that Russ mentality of just go out there, prove everybody wrong and win. So when he's proving himself wrong and he's getting talked to about it, he does not take to it well. So I would imagine that they match up DK on Jalen Ramsey. Just have him shadow him the entire game. And I imagine that probably sets up Tyler Lockett to have another one of those better performances where he's able to match up versus the number 2 corner. It's a little different when the second corner is Darius Williams, but we're playing a team that their defensive coordinator once said that he under anticipated the Seahawks passing game. Raheem Morris, he once said that. So we're going to see how he takes to it this week. And I'm still very confident in our run game. So if they want to go ahead and try to take away that pass, we'll pound the rock. It's going to be an interesting game because I feel like this is our worst matchup because the Rams they've owned us, man. I mean, it's kind of gone the way of Cardinals beat the 49ers, the 49ers beat the Rams, the Seahawks beat the 49ers, and the Rams beat the Seahawks. It's kind of always been that interchanging way in the NFC West. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think it's our worst matchup just with how they're built, but I want to see how we can take it on this week.
I mean, that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, and it's interesting because that's the case. I mean, it's the reality of the situation for Seattle. Just the things that they can do, the lockdown corner on the outside there, the way Aaron Donald disrupts things on the interior. The only good news, I think, and this is really the case for both you, Evan, your team with the Cardinals, and your team, Sam, with the Seahawks, is the mobility with the quarterback position. Especially for Seattle, when things break down, you saw San Francisco sending some edge blitzes with Dante Johnson and a couple other guys off the edge to pressure Russell Wilson. And when they were able to corral him or force him up into the pocket where Kinlaw was feasting for most of this game and really making life difficult for us, when that happened, the pass game struggled. But when guys missed, and DJ missed late, that created that Freddie Swain touchdown in the corner of the end zone. When guys miss late, Russ can make magic happen. It's the same thing with Kyler, right? I think back to last year, Buffalo, the Hail Murray. I'm watching that going, this has no business at all working in any way whatsoever. But when you got a guy who's that gifted and that talented and get outside the pocket and make those types of throws, a team like the Rams and the team like the 49ers that have struggled at times to corral those types of quarterbacks, it can make life a living nightmare.
And there was a lot of plays where we would specifically let some of the defensive ends come in, and then it freed up the tight end for a 20, 25-yard gain. Like we know that you're going to bring that pressure. So Cliff Kingsbury has actually adjusted to the NFL. And let me repeat that. Cliff Kingsbury has adjusted to the NFL. It's the weirdest thing. And he expects, he's learning. He's learning the game, and he's doing it at a really, really fast ass pace right now. And so he knows Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, I'm really not worried about the internal guys, Kinlaw and DJ Jones right now, just because we kept Aaron Donald to like a 45.1, or maybe it was a 55.1 grade on PFF. Like I don't even remember him getting called in the game, man, which I was astounded by that. So I'm less worried about your interior linemen as I am your outside guys. But as I just said, he knows that pressure's coming. And so he's been able to work around that, do different things, and just call, quick passes or get the run game going certain ways, make you go in and bite a little bit. And then we're doing play fakes and PAs going outside. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things that he's been able to do. And his play calling has been far and away one of the more impressive things of this season. So I'm less afraid of defensive lines as I used to be. It's crazy. I don't know what world I'm living in, man. This is like the multiverse for the Arizona Cardinals. It's super weird. But again, I'm trying to pump the brakes.
The best timeline right now for you guys. This is as good as it can be right now for the Arizona Cardinals. Everything is really rolling your guys' way. And the test becomes really hard for San Francisco. The questions of Jimmy G up in the air, the questions with Trent Williams up in the air, Trent Williams potentially not being available. I wanted to ask you,
and Robbie Gould going on IR. You don't know what the new kicker is going to do. You hope
Joey Sly is the kicker that they've signed, and that is concerning to me. This is a guy who's only made 79% of his kicks in the league. So he's had some miss issues.
So you're really going into this just like hoping just at least get some extra points, maybe a 30-yard field goal, anything beyond that as a bonus.
Here's the good news for San Francisco. The run game, the scheme has been there the last 3 or 4 weeks. It was there last week against Seattle. They had good opportunities. Trey Sermon had some really good runs, but Trey Sermon is a step or two slow. And Elijah Mitchell is not that step or two slow, which means potential big play opportunities in the run game, which is what this offense has sorely been missing. It's something that, Seattle wasn't missing yesterday, on Sunday. Chris Carson had some gashing runs and some opportunities where he was able to get through and really push and help keep that offense going. The Niners are missing the big play home run potential at the running back room. Hopefully Elijah Mitchell is able to bring that back this week, because that will possibly, I imagine, help a little bit with your linebackers out in space and coverage if they have to really sell out for the run or pay more attention to the run, creating some more opportunities there to attack in the pass game for this team. But Evan, go ahead and make your case. I mean, I don't even know if you have to make the case. Why are the Cardinals the head of the table? Why are they the cream of the crop right now in the NFC West?
4 games in, 400 yards per game, 30 plus points per game. Nobody's done that since the 2011 Patriots. And before that, it was the 2013 Broncos, and then the 2009 Patriots.
Oh my.
You're talking historical offensive teams right now. So in theory, with a guy that you really can't plan for, like a Russell Wilson, like Lamar Jackson, you can only do so much. You can have a plan, you can try and execute it, but when you got a guy that can go out there and make plays, as you said, anything is possible. I mean, the sky is the limit for Kyler Murray specifically. The defense has been the most physical I've ever seen, and that is on par with the 2015 team, the 2008, 2009 team, and then we have a kicker. We have a kicker for the first time in 10 plus years. We have Matt Prater, a dude you can line up. I mean, Kyler Murray, just get to the 50-yard line and we'll run him out there for a 62-yarder. perfect. You know what I mean? So a lot of things are pointing their way, but we kind of did this last year. We went 6-3 to begin the year last year, and then we fizzled out, didn't make the playoffs. Teams that start 3-0 make the playoffs 75% of the time. Teams that start 4-0 make it something like 84% of the time. So in theory, especially with the 7th team now, everything is looking good that way. But, all it takes is one injury, one bad loss, one, whatever, and things can go the other way. And you guys, I didn't even know you guys didn't have a game the week afterwards. You got a bye week coming up. So you guys can go balls to the wall, all out, do everything you can to win this game. Now it's going to be loud up in there. It's going to be loud, but you guys have a lot of experience in that building, having to play there the last part of the year as well, too.
Home away from home.
Exactly. There's that as well. It's a lot of weird things to consider. Now, honestly, I want to talk about the Rams and the Seahawks real quick. I think that the Seahawks are going to come out and win. I think that was a fairly demoralizing loss for the Rams. Sean McVay looked, if you look at some of the clips, he looked bewildered. Like, he looked a little shook for the first time in his coaching career. Like, that was great to see. And then on a short week, you got to travel. I don't know. I think the Seahawks are going to catch him off guard. So I'm calling a Seahawks and a Cardinals win right now.
Are you liking that, Sam? That sound good to you?
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Trust me. I mean, I'm oddly optimistic for a Rams game this week. I really am. I find it interesting. I'm usually like Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Sean McVay. It's just why, but this week I feel like last week we saw a chink in the armor. We saw a little gash right there that we can take advantage of. That I think this is really our opportunity to snag some serious momentum in the division, especially, and start 2-0 in this division. It would be a monumental feat for us. It's very important. I think that if we can take it to the Rams this week, even if it's a small win for this team, that's good enough for me, because I still need to be proven about this team, I feel like, because sometimes we play really well, and then sometimes there's we just let Kirk Cousins throw 4 touchdowns against us with ease.
Right.
So it's something where if we can come out and even win this week, I would be very pleased with how this team is and the fact that we can gain some momentum. And then we go to play the Steelers, which should hopefully be a somewhat solid game for us, considering that, Ben Roethlisberger is playing like an old man.
The sun is setting. The sun is setting on Big Ben. That is for sure. It's happening before our very eyes.
Yeah. So we at least have a light at the end of the tunnel. This is a tough game, but if anybody's going to be ready out of these two teams, it's going to be the Seahawks, because the Rams have things to fix on a short week. The Seahawks have things to grow on in a short week, and we're playing at home. So that alone gives me some confidence going into Thursday night.
As it should. Look, the 49ers, it hasn't been the start everyone hoped it was going to be. I know for a fact, for Ant and myself here on the pod, not what we were expecting this early in the season. Also didn't expect the rash of injuries, even though for some reason maybe we should have, who knows. But I can say this. Despite the poor level of execution, especially late in games, the 49ers have only lost 2 games by 9 points. So they really aren't that far away from getting it really figured out and being a team that can be one of the best teams, not only in the NFC West, but in the NFC itself. So a lot of 49ers fans, well, I wouldn't say a lot. Let's just say about 50% of the fan base is freaking out about everything that's going on. A win this week against your Cardinals fixes literally all of those concerns. You're 3-2. You head into the bye. You take out the hottest team in the NFL. And now everyone talks about how incredibly tough the NFC West is, which we all of us already knew this. This is going to be slug it out fest all season long. I would be surprised if any one team truly officially separates themselves before we get to week 12 or 13 of the season in this division. It's going to be a fun week though. Another week of NFC teams going at it. The 49ers trying to slow down Kyler Murray and this offense trying to find a way to get their own offense going against a much improved Arizona Cardinals defense, just team overall. and the Rams licking their wounds and trying to find a way now to take down Seattle and what they got going on now with their offense starting to click there in the second half. This is going to be a fun week, guys. It's going to be an interesting week. Sam, let everyone know where they can find you, and then Evan, you can let everyone know where they can find you guys.
You can find me on YouTube at the Always Compete Seahawks podcast, and also wherever you get your podcasts at the Always Compete Seahawks podcast.
Yeah, and you can find all our Cardinals contact, Phoenix Suns, as well as Arizona State Sun Devils on He's on Fire podcast, Twitter at He's on Fire podcast. We're on YouTube and wherever you find your podcasts as well. So come and join. And I think Alex, are you joining us tomorrow night? Are you good to go?
Oh, I'll be there, man. I will be there. So don't worry about that. I will be over there. So you can head on over. You guys can watch a fun little conversation that we're going to have about this upcoming week. And then also we're going to have Evan on for Know Your Opponent on Friday. So don't miss that either. It's going to be fun conversations on both channel. Head on over to the Always Compete Seahawks podcast. Give them some love, as well as the He's on Fire podcast. Give them some love. Guys, always a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me. And until the next one, we'll see what happens. The quest for the West is heating up, and it's only week 5.